this edition of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller, and my special guest today, Melanie Yoder from Haugland Learning Center. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, glad to have you here. Now let's talk a little bit about the center, and it's here in Lancaster, but it's actually through the state of Ohio.
Right. We offer a variety of services throughout the state of Ohio. I'm the director of our branches, our school-based services. So our main branch is in Columbus, and it serves about 250 students. And then currently we have 2 branches in more of our rural areas, one in Sandusky, one in Lancaster, and we're starting a location in Athens in 2018, January as well. In addition to our school-based services, we offer outreach, which are home-based services. Our philosophy and techniques that we use are through applied behavior analysis, ABA, and so our home-based outreach services actually come to your house and provide different services, and then we provide consulting. We have clinicians that can do assessments for autism, and we also have Haugland therapy services, which is some of our counseling, casework, case management services as well. So we try and provide a lot of services throughout the state.
Website, phone numbers, information people can get?
Our website is just hauglandlearningcenter.com, and our main number is 614-602-6473.
Let's autism. Signs of autism, talk a little bit about that.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions of autism. Obviously, the rise is pretty prevalent. Really, the 3 main components of autism reside within the realms of social communication and behavior. So I think a large misconception is that intellectual cognitive component, and that is not autism. You can have dual diagnoses that include it, but autism is really factors that reside within the 3 realms of social behavior and communication. The assessment component is obviously by a clinician trained to provide that, and so.
So if a parent thought, well, my child has autism, how would they base that? Because the child didn't talk right or didn't?
There's a lot of signs and symptoms that are rising. A lot of the social component, the social interaction, sustained attention, maybe eye contact, the communication, where if there's speech delays or, maybe we do have speech up to a certain point and then we see some of the skills fade. Behavior is often, repetitive behavior or maladaptive behavior. It's very individualistic. I like to say if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of autism is it's very individualized. And so, when you understand the person, you're really understanding them for the strengths they have and then some of the needs that they need to be taught as well.
So is this something that's funding and covered by insurance, or how's this?
Ohio is slowly catching up with insurance. Through our school-based services, we utilize the Autism Scholarship, and that's a parent choice program. It's funded through the Ohio Department of Education, and the scholarship is actually something that we use in terms of covering the whole tuition for the school year, and then also we offer a 4-week summer camp or a 4-week summer program. And that then allows us to continue working on our students' goals and objectives, but also then our community-based involvement. So we're working on the skill development that we can then apply and generalize to different environments and peoples, and that's something we offer as part of the scholarship when students enroll.
How did Melanie get involved in this?
My background is within education, so I taught for a number of years.
High school, junior high?
I taught elementary, and it was students with diverse needs. So I had students that were pretty much a 60-month span. And I had students with multiple exceptionalities, including autism. And, learned a lot from that experience, but also saw some limitations with variables that could be manipulated to promote more positive outcomes. I had worked with Haugland Learning Center prior to going into the public setting and learned a lot right off the bat in terms of really understanding the function of behavior and understanding things that we need to consider to maybe promote positive behavior change, prevent some of the behavior, promote replacement behaviors, and also look at that component of what happens after the behavior and environmentally set up contingencies that then result in better outcomes. When I was teaching, I did understand the validity of the behavior component, which I didn't feel like I had enough of a background in, and so I continued and am a certified behavior analyst as well. So
Wow.
that helps with
That's fantastic. That's
understanding.
so. What's the biggest myth of autism?
There's many. I think a lot of people question the medical realm. They question maybe foods. I think there's a lot of
Mountain Dew and ho-hos. Those have.
yeah, the gluten, the dairy, and I don't scoff. I don't think one size fits all, but
Sure.
obviously we need to make decisions that have enough evidence and research to support. So I always, hinder on the side of being skeptical unless there is enough, and really ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, is the one true, concept that has proven to be time and time again effective for our students.
Do you ever put on seminars or training centers? Just so people may. I might have a question. Can I come and talk to you? Or,
Right. Yes, we will provide training. We provide consulting to school districts. We have parent program trainings that we bring parents into for some of our approaches. If we're doing something in the classroom and the parents are open to it, we want obviously the behavior to generalize in all realms to all pupils. So we're more than willing to work with parents of what we can set up in the home. Haugland Learning Center also offers a conference in September based on effective design. And so it's in Columbus at the Convention Center, and they bring in a lot of well-known, educators and behavior analysts, and that's open to the public and something that parents can utilize as well.
When would you first notice an autistic child? At what age?
Again, there's some discrepancy in terms of research, but the big emphasis is on early intervention. So as early as we can catch it, in terms of if you've seen these, milestones being hit and all of a sudden you don't, do question, do bring it to the attention of others. It's really based on, that practitioner, the medical practitioner,
Sure.
of making that determination.
Now, the classes, you mentioned insurance. Is it expensive? Is it?
In terms of school?
The school itself?
No, again, the school is, if you decide to, come, and we are a non-public charter, so we, in Lancaster, we're chartered K through 12. That means that there are transportation support set up for parents. There's additional funding for instructional resources, technological resources, and our students can issue and can receive a diploma similar to other institutions as long as they meet that trajectory of taking the state assessments and getting all the credits they need for that high school transcript for their diploma. Obviously, they still need to take the placement exams
Sure.
for college entrance, but we really do work with families on that transition component. What is life after education? With an IEP, you can still receive educational services up to the age 22. So some of our students, maturity, educationally, socially, want to continue even past that year 18. But when parents define what that last year is, we want to make sure that we are working for community involvement because it's the integration back into the community. Is that work? Is that vocational? Is that volunteer? Or is that post-secondary? And so really making sure our students do have a future, and we're hooking them up with networking and resources that are more friendly and understand autism. Because again, society is getting, there's autism awareness, but
Right.
let's shift autism, acceptance as well.
That's my next question, awareness versus acceptance.
Yes.
Has that developed over the last few years? I remember years ago when somebody said they had a child who's autistic, it was, okay, I understand all these things, but has that changed a little bit, or?
With awareness, becomes visibility and, is more common. So I think awareness does lead to acceptance. I think we're getting there. It often in the media we see all these success stories of students with autism, but, we don't really see some of the success stories or the struggles of students who really have more of the severe autism and the life that the parents lead and the supports that they need and, that additional other end of the spectrum. So I think, the beauty of autism is it's a huge spectrum and that, the acceptance component needs to be for the entire spectrum as well.
You talked earlier about signs and is it tough for parents to accept? Is that something that you deal with too also, or you just deal with the child themselves?
I think the initial diagnosis, just like anything, is you've got your layers of coming to an understanding of what that means. So I think our parents often, when they receive that initial diagnosis, it's us helping process really what that means and that it's not necessarily a limitation. You can't make the assumption that they have the skills unless they've been directly taught. So I remind even my teachers that, if we're teaching a concept, do they know what that is? That's a class and that's a word, but do they know all the skills and the behaviors within that class?
Right.
And if not, then that's our misconception too, that, it's kind of common sense. Most concepts need to be directly taught for them to be internalized and become automatic.
Can you talk a little bit about the classes, some of the things that are taught in classes, some of the exercises? Or?
Mm-hmm. So we, again, applied behavior analysis is, really looking at instructional behavioral components founded within research-based technologies that are systematically used, looking at the environment, what can be changed. We follow kind of the ABC contingency of what happened before the behavior, what is the behavior, and what is the consequence. And when I say consequence, a large component of what we do in applied behavior analysis is that positive reinforcement. We see positive reinforcement as the tool for behavior change. So our students are always working to earn something because that's a natural contingency of life. And every 2 weeks, we're working to earn something, right?
Yeah.
So, we kind of set that up at an early, you always hear, what are you working for? Because that's how we increase motivation. We're not going to take something away. If there's a behavior of concern, maybe it takes a little longer to get what I'm working for. But again, I'm going to be reminded of my self-coping tools. We use a lot of visual tools. We do task analysis, which is taking a behavior, breaking it down into the steps, teaching each step, because it's a subset. A behavior is a subset of skills. And again, so it is it's repetitive. It can be very visual based until we can fade to the abstract, and I just say, show me, and they can do their skills or use your words. A big component too is that communication, where even if I have great conversational exchanges and I'm very verbal, when I'm heightened, it's my processing's affected too. So I'm not maybe able to say why I'm mad or why I'm angry, and then I'm seeing these, physical or aggressive outbursts. So again, taking a step back and giving the tools to promote functional communication. So we do, we have different technologies that we use even in the classroom. We use a lot of direct instruction. We're bringing in a new technology called precision teaching that is based on fluency. So we want to make sure that our students are fluent in their responses, and it's a physical chart that we can, in a 1-minute interval chart, and then see if our interventions are effective, and if not, we're not going to continue to promote ineffective interventions. So we do a lot of data collection, a lot of analysis, and we want to make sure that instructionally and behaviorally that we're providing the opportunity for them to show us, to tell us, to give us mixed, a variety of ways that they show that they are understanding the content, that they're, again, generalizing to, and seeing the application of the skill as well.
Have you ever come across a concept or an idea that you just, this isn't right, I don't agree with this?
I don't believe in, I think something that is a little bit different is punishment. So if I've made a poor choice or I'm having a behavior of concern, to remove that student from a classroom to another location, or to send them out of the classroom to another room where they can get some exterior input. We're not teaching. So every moment is a teachable moment. So if there is a behavior of concern, that student's going to stay in the environment. Maybe the rest of the students will leave or go to another environment. Because again, it's in that environment, I need to teach the skills of what we need to do in terms of replacement behavior. So next time it happens, you know, they've got maybe the skills, maybe not the next time, maybe it's the 10th time or the 12th time. But again, what is the function of behavior? So is it escape and avoidance? Because if it's that, then they're leaving and they're getting what they want if I remove them. So they stay. You know, some other things that have come out within the field of autism, one function of behavior is automatic, which is sensory-based, but we bring that into their program. It's not exterior. They're not leaving the classroom to get sensory input. Again, it's something that we see we can work in. It's a motivator. It's a reinforcer we can use. So it becomes part of their plan, their individual plan, rather than exterior, where again it could be escape or avoidance.
Sure.
So we really are trying to understand the function of behavior, and from that, then we're setting them up to, you know, have more of a positive behavior change too.
Conferences, retraining, are those things that you have to do constantly?
Yes, so we offer a lot of professional development to our teachers. All of our staff goes to our effective instructional design conference in September. I work with them, you know, intimately, and we do ongoing trainings based on certain concepts that we're doing behaviorally and instructionally, and you know, a lot of individual training based on classrooms. So we want to really pinpoint what's most effective. And then curriculum is designed for the individual student. So it's, you know, maybe one classroom uses this form of curriculum, another class uses another one. So we are always considering what is best for that individual.
Future of autism awareness, just in general?
I'm hoping autism and acceptance. I think we're all aware, and it, you know, if not, then you know, awareness, you know, leads to acceptance. But I really hope it's more acceptance and again, an understanding of the behavior component, and not just things that we can give to maybe mask the behavior.
We talked earlier about getting into this field. What really drove you to get it? Because you're very passionate about this. What drove? Was there an individual, or was there? What drove you to get into this field?
I think my personal drive is I live in a very rural community that we don't have services. Our students that if they were diagnosed with autism and you know the assessment team was like, well, you need ABA, you need to go to Columbus. That's a 2-hour drive. I live in an area that is, you know, the socioeconomic status is much lower, and that just wasn't practical. So coming back to Haugland Learning Center, when I was, you know, proposed the opportunity to work in the branch world, that really pulled on my heartstrings, because it's bringing resources to our rural areas where it's not practical to drive. And we know that autism is not urban, it's nationwide. And, you know, right now there is no model in rural America of bringing, you know, of bringing services to the rural areas. There's teleconferencing, so I'm doing Skyping, I'm doing things like that. But for that really intense instruction, with utilizing practices with an ABA, it has to be face-to-face, and it has to be frequent, and it has to be supported.
Frequent being daily, weekly?
I mean, you know, school-wise, we can do it daily. If you're doing it through us through Outreach and Home Base, which is a one-on-one, or ABA services, it would be for a number of hours a week. But, you know, again, we need to be supporting our students, you know, statewide.
Right. What type of reaction do you get from secondary education, from colleges about programs like this?
Actually, during our summer camp, we brought Ohio University Lancaster in, and they did a really nice job of saying how they can kind of being a stepping stone for students into the world of academia, of higher education, and then maybe, you know, maybe it's, you know, more of a temporary to a long-term solution. But there are universities out there that are accredited for students with autism that have more of an education of how to support these students. And you can, you know, look them up online, but that is something I think is pretty amazing too, because a lot of our students cognitively have the ability to go to college. You know, it's just how do we, you know, organization to social skills to social involvement, how do we make sure they're supported,
Right.
you know, in all realms.
What is one of the biggest drawbacks of being supported? in those realms. You mentioned transportation in the Lancaster area, and is that an issue with other areas? Because you mentioned Sandusky and Athens and Columbus and Lancaster. Those are where your offices are,
Right.
Is that an issue with just getting kids there?
That's a huge initiative of why we charter as well,
Okay.
because we want them to have, the similar services that they would receive in the public
Sure.
school. So one of which is transportation, and on their IEPs, if it says transportation, when we're chartered, then the school district has to, as long as it's 30 minutes from where the student would attend in district to us, the school district either needs to provide transportation or provide the parent with reimbursement. So, that's a huge initiative of ours too, is how do we make, the playing field more balanced if
Right.
parents want this parent choice program, and then, instructionally, behaviorally, our technologies, of importance.
For those viewers that don't understand IEP, you might want to explain what that is.
So your IEP is your individual education plan, and that is done yearly, and it outlines the student's strengths and their present level of performance, and then also their instructional, social, behavioral goals and objectives. And that's based off of their ETR, which is their evaluation team report. So for students to enroll with us most easily, we utilize the Autism Scholarship. We also have the John Peterson Scholarship, but that's based on students with various exceptionalities. The Autism Scholarship, as long in the ETR, the evaluation team report that's done every 3 years, as long as it's stated that the eligibility for services is autism, then parents then students automatically qualify for the Autism Scholarship, which again covers all of our tuition and a 4-week summer camp.
Right, that's it. How do people, I know we talked about the website, phone numbers, but is it based on can they come in the first month of every month and talk to you, or do classes start at a certain time, like school sessions start in August and go to the end of the year?
We have pretty much open enrollment throughout the
Okay.
year. The Autism Scholarship closes its window for the current school year on April 1st. And
Okay.
so starting even now, we're starting our enrollment process for next school year. In the summer, we do encourage that if parents are interested, that, we complete the process in a timely manner because there's a high volume of applicants. But as the school year continues, then, we pretty much have open enrollment. We'd like to do, we want to check educational documents first, so we ask that those are submitted. And that's our enrollment coordinator in Columbus, so that phone number I gave at the beginning of the show is the best number to reach. I can also provide my email. But, we look over the educational documents,
Sure.
we give a tour, I meet with parents, and we just kind of outline, based on the student's abilities, what educational classroom would be the best setting for
What
them.
size are the classrooms? I mean,
We keep our student-to-teacher ratio really low. So we uphold a 3-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio. Again, it's very intensive instruction. And doing different technologies that maybe aren't as common and require a lot of analysis. So we want to make sure that, the students are getting that intensive instruction. So we are low in our ratio.
I know you gave a website, is there a website people go to check on autism, just to get more facts about it?
There's Autism Speaks. That's probably the most well-known national one. And, even if you go to our website, there's information on autism. You can see the different services that we offer and kind of see our mission statement because that's something we really, truly
Sure.
believe in.
Absolutely. Earlier you mentioned there are universities that support autism, have class. Are there some local or?
Ohio University Lancaster is nice for our local students
Okay.
because, again, most of our students want to stay within the community at first because it
Sure.
is a huge transition after you finish high school. So we promote, let's start local. Let's get that networking in your community. And then, like they've even said, they can be kind of a stepping stone to,
Sure.
let's get your general requirements, and then you're really interested in this field, maybe we offer it, maybe we don't, but here's our suggestion of different universities that you could consider. So we want to make sure we're working at the student's pace, and it's not, them feeling like they need to do this on anyone else's behalf but their own.
And we just have a few minutes left. Speak to the parent that finds out that their daughter or son has autism. What are some things we have just a couple minutes left.
I would see it too as, I mean, we're all individuals, so we all bring strengths, to the world. We all bring balance to a family. Don't see it as a limitation. See it as kind of an adventure. I mean, the perspective that our students offer to us individually is amazing, and it makes a lot of sense. But sometimes we have to be patient to understand it.
Sure.
And I think patience is a huge thing too. And seek the resources, ask questions, reach out to others, be open about it. Because, it's not, hold a high expectations. And if we hold high expectations, the students will meet it. And know when you need help, and use your community.
One more time, phone number, website people can go to?
The phone number is 614-602-6473, and our website is Haugland Learning Center.
Melanie Yoder, we appreciate you coming in, and we'll have you back on to give us an update about the schools and what's happening, and we wish you the best of luck in your endeavors, and thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, thank you for the time.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Life's Perspective. I'm Mike Miller, and remember, until we meet again, let's make a difference.